We're going there today, guys. We are talking about the connection between the occult, Satanists, demons, and abortion. The Satanists are loud and proud. Shocker? About their demonic obsession with abortion. They have, do you know this? The Satanic Temple has several abortion clinics. They've literally opened an abortion center named Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic, referring to the Supreme Court justice. And they plan to open and are opening their third abortion telehealth clinic on President Donald Trump's birthday, just recently, called the President's Huge, Most Beautiful, Tremendous Satanic Abortion Clinic. I'm not kidding. Why does the Satanic Temple treat abortion as sacred, but millions of Christians treat it as negotiable? Can a nation flirt with the occult, partner with the Satanic Temple, kill its children, and not expect judgment? These people are not confused. They're not misguided. They are intentional. They're invoking the spirit of rebellion and dressing it up as freedom, healthcare, and choice. This episode is not for the faint of heart, but it's for those who want to see clearly, who want to understand that abortion isn't just political. It's spiritual. It's demonic. Right-wing watch. Grab your popcorn. This one's for you too. Follow me on Rumble in case Google ever digitally assassinates the show. We appreciate it so much. Give us a rating and review. It's a purple little app called Podcasts on your iPhone. The Seth Gruber Show. Hit the 5 stars and write us a little endorsement or a thought or a question or just a thank you, whatever. It helps the show climb up the ratings. More people see it. And join the White Rose Resistance at thewhiterose.life, www.thewhiterose.life, the fastest growing pro-life organization in America, and become an ally. That would mean so much to me at $35 a month. That's how this ministry is mainly supported. Okay? We're not getting checks from a bunch of millionaires. What did Bernie Sanders say? It's the millionaires and billionaires. Yeah, we're not really funded by those people. We're funded by local believers. And we'd love to have you part of our resistance movement or join it as air support. That's what we call $70 a month. And you join our book club called Books in the Barracks. But you get our White Rose app and the battle box in the mail. And our allies and above will get a free ticket to our future events in 2026. We believe you are the resistance, and we're here to mobilize, educate, and inspire the local church to stand. If that's meaningful to you, join us. Let's get into it. This is The Seth Gruber Show. So abortion, it turns out, is satanic and demonic, not because I say so or other Christians say so, but because the Satanists say so. Because the Satanists, who often name their organizations and their businesses and abortion mills after demons, say so. There you go. Welcome to the Seth Gruber Show. What in the heck in the world? I've talked about this before on the show, guys. I mean, you know, one of the comments I actually get the most from people is when they say, oh, the most moving thing ever was seeing your viral, video about abortion as the sacrament of Satan and how demonic all this is. Because it's true. It's self-evidently true. And that truth resounds with most people. Who have like a heart, whose heart isn't so hardened to objective spiritual realities and principalities. And that's true even for many non-Christians. One of the things that's interesting about Jordan Peterson is how he's always talking about spiritual things, right? And demonic things. Even though I don't think he's a Christian yet. So eternity's written on the heart of man. Like, I meet people all the time who are pro-life and they think abortion's like a satanic, dark kind of thing and they're not Christians. Like, we've been given a heart to recognize evil And when you can't recognize that abortion is evil and is demonic, that is a sign of how hard your heart is. Okay. Hey guys, Right Wing Watch is going to love this one, right? Hi, my assigned podcast viewer at Right Wing Watch. Thank you for helping the show take off and reach more listeners, by the way. Abortion is satanic because the Satanists say it's satanic. Breaking, as of just the other day, the Satanic Temple. Did you know we have an organization that operates in America, on American soil, with multiple locations called the Satanic Temple? Yeah, I don't think the founders thought religious liberty meant giving tax-exempt status to people who worship Beelzebub. I don't think that's what religious liberty meant. Anyways, maybe we'll get into that, but that's might be, a full podcast for another time. I've talked to this about before. In fact, like 2-3 years ago, we did an episode about the Satanic Temple opening up an abortion center and calling it Samuel Alito's mom's abortion center. It wasn't like a joke. It wasn't like a pseudonym. Like, they actually named the abortion center that. Because they're saying, we wish Samuel Alito's mom had aborted Samuel Alito, because then he wouldn't have been on the Supreme Court to cast one of the votes to overturn Roe versus Wade. So, I mean, talk about wishing death on someone, huh? It's like, hey, I wish we had a DeLorean to go back when Samuel Alito was in the womb, and then we would have had an abortion center for his mom to kill him. Like, okay, do you understand like the levels of darkness that entails to name your abortion center Samuel Alito's mom's abortion center? The Texas Satanic Temple has gotten infamous in the last few years for their just overtly in-your-face worship of Satan. But then they say these comments like one of their founders of the Satanic Temple, Ash Blackwood, I think is his name. He looks super freaky, by the way. He looks super creepy. I'm sure we can pull up a picture of him. Ash Blackwood. He's like, one of his eyes looks all screwed up and he's got pentagrams everywhere. And anyways, okay, no shocker, right? Satan, like Lord of all evil, not beautiful. Those in the throes of demon worship don't look beautiful. I couldn't have made up that one. Okay. Hey, by the way, it's one of the reasons actually that we know abortion is demonic and satanic is that so many of the feminists or feminazis, to quote Rush Limbaugh, we're going to get in trouble for this one. Some of abortion's most energetic and loud cheerleaders are ugly and fat. You've thought it. Don't you judge me right now. You've noticed it and you've thought it before, haven't you? I've been outside of enough abortion mills and nothing compared to my friends. Like my assistant, grew up preaching the gospel outside of abortion centers. Like I'm not even outside of abortion centers as much as I'd like to be or my friends are. And they're all like, everyone's really, it's okay. Let's use the politically correct term: obese, unhealthy, ugly, because there's just a lot of different hair dyes going on in that haircut, or it's kind of that butch feminist look. The butch feminist look, like they don't think they're dudes, but they're like tomboy to a unhealthy level. Like my wife was a tomboy growing up, but she was always adorable. Just maybe shorts and barefoot and like to ride bicycles barefoot and beat the boys in bicycle races. Like that's not butch feminism. Butch feminism is like when women become ugly. Okay. So yeah, Satan's not a very lovely, beautiful person. He masquerades as an angel of light, the Bible says. But yeah, ugly and evil often go together because evil is ugly. And so its defenders and cheerleaders kind of fit the same paradigm. Okay, anyways, I'm digressing. Ash Blackwood, this Satanic Temple person, he's like, no, we don't worship Satan literally. I've talked about this on the show. I mean, he says this all the time. He's like, we don't worship Satan literally because we don't believe in any spiritual realities. We're materialists or something, secular humanists. That's what we really are. We just worship Satan ironically. No, I'm serious. Did you know that's what they say? The Satanic Temple and their, like, you know, influencers and founders and temple, I don't know what they call themselves. They're like, no, we do not worship Satan literally. They say we don't actually believe that there's a Yahweh and a, you know, Lucifer, fallen angel who took a third of the angels with him, and that there is a spiritual, invisible realm and war raging all around us. So we worship him because, like Saul Alinsky said in the dedication of his book, Rules for Radicals, Satan is awesome because he was the first rebel, and in rebelling, he won himself his own kingdom. So that's what the Satanic Temple will often say. They say, you know, we love the caricature and the representation or image that Satan represents because we're rebels too, and we want to gain ourselves our own kingdom. The question is, I guess, how long can you worship something ironically before you're actually worshiping it literally? Right? Like, because you do take on the image of the thing you worship. You understand this, right? Like doesn't everyone understand this? Like, porn addicts literally begin to take on the image of the thing that they worship. I don't know if you know this, like, about like biochemistry and all this stuff, but a lot of the science of porn addiction is pretty fascinating to study, just because understanding how humans operate in our brains and all this stuff. Not studying porn, I'm saying, like, studying what it does to your brain is really interesting. Like, what a man looks at. Okay, this is why this show is not PG, okay? I've told you this a million times. If you put this on in your car with your kids on, you should have known better. Okay, warning, okay? You have a chance to pause it now, okay? If you're in the minivan. What a man looks at continually at the moment of arousal will create literal neural pathways that begin to permanently link that thing with arousal. It creates a biochemical, like, almost spiritual and marital, almost like one flesh kind of link between arousal and that thing. And this is why, like husbands who have good marriages, like, after 20 years, they're like, hey, baby, you look hotter now than you did when we got married. Do you know why that is? It's because he's not a porn addict, and the only woman he's looked at the moment of arousal for 20 years is his wife. So that's like a cool way God made us, when we do things God's way. Okay. So, like, even in porn, yeah, you're literally beginning to take on the image of the thing that you worship. It becomes a part of your identity in your mind that you can't even control. Like, this is why it takes, like, sometimes years for men to break totally free of porn addiction and like get rid of temptation. Because they, like, if you were addicted to porn for 10 or 15 years, you literally develop neural chemical links between arousal and the things you are watching. So your mind's just all screwed up. That's an example. We could think of many more. You will take on the image of the thing that you worship. So that's one of the reasons why pro-choice people tend to be uglier. Like, I'm not just saying, like, Aunt Sally, who still votes for Democrats and hasn't thought deeply about the issues, so she votes for the pro-choice Democrat, but she's not going to the feminist rallies. No, I'm talking about, like, the activists who literally worship abortion. They're ugly. That's not a coincidence. That's a spiritual phenomenon. Anyways, so the Satanic Temple founder, Ash Blackwood, not a very pleasing to look at guy, a little bit creepy. But don't worry, he just worships Satan ironically. He just worships Satan, not literally. Okay, yeah, sure. This is why, by the way, Herbert Schlossberg has this great quote in his book, Idols for Destruction. It's a book that I recommend everyone read, Idols for Destruction. And he says, bloodthirsty gods produce bloodthirsty people. And by the way, like that's also biblical. I forget where in the Old Testament it is. But there's a Bible verse in the Old Testament that literally says that, and those who worship idols are like them. Those who worship idols are like them. Right. You become like the thing you worship. So that's not just like my opinion. Okay. Like that's what the word of God says. So the Satanic Temple is very angry because Roe versus Wade got overturned. And that mean tweeting orange man, who's not even fully pro-life, he's the one to blame because of his 3 Supreme Court appointments that led to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Remember, because Roe versus Wade only got overturned in a 5-4 decision. So it would not have gotten overturned without all 3 of Trump's Supreme Court appointments, many of whom have turned out to be somewhat disappointing, actually, on many other basic family issues. But at least they voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. So the Satanic Temple is very upset about this. And they have just announced that they're opening a new Satanic Temple abortion clinic. The Satanic Temple has multiple abortion mills that it operates in America. The most recent one is in the state of Maine. Maine is an interesting state. Maine has been in the news a lot recently because their governor, is it Mills? I forgot. I think it's Mills. Janet Mills. Their governor of Maine has been flouting federal law by allowing teenage high school dudes to compete in female high school athletics in the state of Maine. Maine, unfortunately, while they don't have a radical pro-abortion, populace, it's not like the people there aren't all, it's not like California or Washington. But unfortunately, many of the elected representatives, certainly the governor, are crazy left-wing weirdos. And so the Satanic Temple has just opened up an abortion mill to do abortion pills in the state of Maine. And they're celebrating this. And they opened their new satanic baby killing mill on Trump's birthday on June 14th. And guess what the name of the Satanic Temple abortion mill is? This is literally the name of the Satanic Abortion Mill in Maine. The president's huge, most beautiful, tremendous Satanic Abortion Clinic. That's literally the name of it. And they have the American Eagle with a pentagram, the Satanic Temple's logo, on the chest of the eagle with the words empathy, reason, justice. Empathy, man. And yet you've got Russell Moore and David French and Christianity Today all out there recently defending empathy as this wonderful Christian virtue. Meanwhile, the Satanic Temple's using it as well, right? Because empathy just means to walk in someone's shoes and feel what they feel. I think maybe compassion is a better Christian kind of virtue rather than empathy. Okay, anyways, it's funny, right? When all of Big Eva is defending empathy, and then the Satanic Temple's logo is empathy, because that means killing babies and just letting people do it. So they say the Satanic Temple is proud to announce America's newest abortion clinic will open June 14th in Maine on Trump's birthday, providing telehealth abortion care throughout the state. Here's the Satanic Temple's executive director named Erin Hellion. Hellion. Well, what are the chances? She says, "We know just how much our president appreciates freedom and the fundamental right to choose," she said in a statement. "We hope he receives this clinic's distinguished title as the magnificent regal birthday present it is intended to be." So they're being super facetious and just kind of disgusting. Here's what the Satanic Temple website says. They said, "As you know, the Supreme Court overturned federal abortion protections in Dobbs versus Jackson in 2022. Since then, the Satanic Temple and our religious reproductive rights campaign have actively worked to ensure that our satanic abortion rituals are recognized as a protected religious practice at both the federal and state levels." Yes, of course, leftism And killing babies is religious. Of course, Satanism is a religion. It's called false religion. And it's super dangerous. It's okay. This is... Do the libertarians understand this yet? I feel like there's no excuse to not understand this in 2025. Understand what? That when you rip Christianity out of a culture, as what do I mean by that? Like as the dominant morality force, as the dominant driving religious system that makes sense of the American experiment and the natural rights in the first place. Okay, the religion that built America. You rip that out. Guess what? We don't enter this sort of like utopian kind of like, hey, you do you, man. Hey, don't kill me and I won't kill you. We'll learn how to all get along, man. I just want to chop the genitals off of the next generation. And, and you don't want to? Well, we'll figure out how to get along. No, as it turns out, we won't and we don't. We just go back to demon worship. Like, man is going to worship something. Okay. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor of the Seth Gruber Show, Everylife Diaper Company. Listen, you should be putting diapers and wiping your baby precious little bottoms with products from a company that would not have slaughtered your baby in utero. I know it's shocking. Well, not to those of you who listen every week, but almost every major diaper company in America supports abortion. And my friends, the co-founders of Everylife, I remember we had Michael Seifert on and then his wife, Sarah Gable, on, and they're showing me all these diaper companies in 2023 that were posting on Instagram, these in 2022, these mournful, just mea culpa cry fests about Roe v. Wade getting overturned and promising to pay for their female employees to fly them to blue states to get abortions. It's like, dude, your baby company would be a lot richer if you encourage people to keep their babies, because then you could sell them more diapers. But you see what the woke mind virus does to people. It makes you stupid. We need to fight the culture war on many fronts, but one of them is financially. And I'm pleading with you guys, if you are having babies still who need diapers, if you know people who are, the nursery director at your church, for goodness sake, there's no excuse for Christians to give their money to companies that sell products for children and babies who want to kill those babies. Everylife.com. Promo code Seth10, Seth10 for 10% off your first order. Get your baby diapers, wipes, shampoos, lotions, non-toxic, all great from a pro-life company, and the quality's great. My wife and I use it, and then we do the subscription, so it comes to the house, gets delivered right before we run out. Why don't you do that? Promo code Seth10 for 10% off your first order, Seth10. It lets them know that I sent you, and that helps us here at the Seth Gruber Show on the White Rose Resistance. Everylife.com. Don't wait. Get your baby stuff from Everylife. I remember there was this interesting clip from Tucker Carlson a couple years ago now, I think. And it sort of went viral because it was his talk the evening before he got fired from Fox. The evening before at Heritage Foundation. That's right. And he basically was like, hey, I feel like maybe everything's just spiritual and theological. He was saying, he was like, when the director of the Department of Energy comes out, do you remember this? And goes, hey, Americans, you know how you can help, the energy crisis? You get an abortion. He's like, well, that's not a political issue. That's a religious demonic thing. That's like what the Aztecs did. He's like, he said, when the left goes, hey, here's a great idea. Let's sexually mutilate the next generation. He's like, well, that's not a political issue. And I remember he made the point. This is the evening before he got fired from Fox. He said, yeah, pretty much every civilization in human history participated in human sacrifice at one point or another. He's like, believe me, I checked. Right, exactly. Like we're not progressives. We're not progressing or making progress toward anything new or better. We're actually descending and returning back to things that have been done before that always ruin societies and civilizations. So we're regressive. That's why C.S. Lewis said, like, we all want progress, right? But if you're on the wrong road, then progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive, right? So you and I are actually progressive by saying, let's not kill the babies. Let's progress towards something better, because we've all done that before. We've seen where societies go when we do that. So he makes this point, hey, it's all spiritual, I think. These things we're debating now have always been understood as spiritual battles, religious battles. And then he made the point, Tucker made the point, he said, I'm not calling for a religious war. I'm asking us to acknowledge what we're already living in. And then he was fired the next day. And I think it was because of that talk, by the way. I think he went too far for the faux conservatives at Fox. But the layperson understands this. And like, thankfully, I get to speak in enough churches around the country to have a sense of this. The lay Christian who doesn't have a big platform, who doesn't have a big social media following, they're not an influencer. They're just trying to pay the bills and provide for their spouse and their children and work hard and stay humble and serve the Lord and be involved in the local church. Like for them, you don't have to like walk them through understanding why this is demonic and like satanic and spiritual. It's like, yeah, obviously. I just wish we had enough Christian leaders and pastors who treated abortion as much of a spiritual issue as the Satanists clearly believe that abortion is spiritual. So the Satanic Temple, I mean, here's their director. They saying we've worked so hard to protect baby killing as a sacred ritual under religious liberty protections. Meaning, what are they saying? They're saying the same religious liberty that protects Jack Phillips in Colorado to protect him from being forced to bake a wedding cake for a throuple or a sodomy marriage should be the same values that allow us to slaughter children in the name of radical autonomy and call it a ritual. Yeah, no, that's not religious liberty. Okay, you don't get to kill the babies. Sorry. What do they call that? The left, they get so upset. It's colonization. Okay, not every aspect of colonization has always been good, but you want to know what a lot of colonization was in Western civilization? It was like a bunch of white Europeans finding tribes, like slicing the hearts out of their neighbors and saying, yeah, we're going to stop you from doing that. And that was a good thing for Western civilization. That was a good thing for the people who were having their hearts sliced out or who were about to. Like, that's part of Christianity. Like, don't allow others to murder little innocent people. Woo. But of course, the Satanic Temple hates everything that Western civilization represents because it was the fruit of Christians changing their culture. Okay, so the director of the Satanic Temple goes on, says the Satanic Temple Health remains dedicated to providing abortion care whenever possible and is eager to expand our services further. This new clinic in Maine will be our third location, joining the Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic in New Mexico and the Right to Your Life. Right to Your Life. Right to Your Life. Oh, the right to life. You're going to borrow the pro-life phrase, right to life, to support abortion. How innovative. They have one in Virginia. And she says, as with our other locations, patients at the President's huge, most beautiful, tremendous Satanic Abortion Clinic will receive all healthcare services for free and will only need to cover the $91 cost of the prescription. I have a book here with me. I've talked about it before, but I've actually never shown you guys the first edition. They're kind of hard to find. They're a bit pricey, but it's called The Sacrament of Abortion. It's not a sacrament of Satan and liberalism because I say so, but because the libs say so. By Jeanette Paris. First edition here, 1992. I was 1 year old. I've read quotes from this before. I mean, literally, look, here's a section. What is human sacrifice? Oh, why would you talk about that in a book called The Sacrament of Abortion? Because it's human sacrifice. And she celebrates this. Like, this is not a conservative providing Christian commentary on abortion. Jeanette Paris is a radical leftist, I think lesbian, feminist abortion cheerleader. And she says in her book, she's like, we need to stop like beating around the bush. Like, she's like, abortion is a sacrament to Artemis. It's a sacrament and a sacrifice for the gift of life to remain pure. She says in her book, she says, we need new rituals. Rituals. That's what the Satanic Temple says here, right? That's what the director said. They said, we've worked to ensure that our satanic abortion ritual is recognized as a religious practice. Jeanette Paris says, we need new rituals as well as laws to restore abortion to its sacred dimension, which is both terrible and necessary. So like honest abortion cheerleaders and leaders will just come out and say this. They'll say, of course it's demonic. Of course it's worship to demons. Of course it's human sacrifice. And we need to embrace that. We need to celebrate that. That's not a new idea. Plenty of people have celebrated sacrificing innocent human beings. But because all human conflict is ultimately theological, and because catechizing a culture is inevitable, the question is not, will the culture be catechized? The question is, by whose religion? And so therefore, the Satanic Temple provides a ritual step-by-step guide to make this process of slaughtering your own offspring a spiritual experience. They have this on their website. It links to a PDF. They put these statements on their website. Here's the top of the website. The Satanic Abortion Ritual is a destruction ritual. It's a destruction ritual that serves as a protective rite. The purpose is to cast off notions of guilt, shame, and mental discomfort that a patient may be experiencing due to choosing to have a legal and medically safe abortion. It's a destruction ritual, right? That serves as a protective rite. Yeah. That's not a new idea either. That by sacrificing your child to Baal or Moloch or Ishtar or Huitzilopochtli or Kamala Harris and the God of self, that you'll protect your rights in your life. It'll provide a blessing to you and your family in the future. That's an idea as old as dirt. But now we're supposed to treat this very ancient practice, this very ancient idea, as it's just a political issue. So, Christians, you should shut up about it. And then in their PDF that walks you through this spiritual step-by-step guide to what they literally call the ritual, they have the implements. Here's how you implement it. They say, get a quiet space where you feel comfortable. They say, something that allows you to see your reflection. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself. And then a copy of the Satanic Temple's 3rd and 5th tenets and the Satanic Temple's personal affirmation. Personal affirmation. It's okay. You do you. Slay queen. For God doth said that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened. That's the satanic affirmation, by the way. That's the first personal satanic affirmation. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods. And so they walk you through this in affirming yourself as an autonomous individual, as you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I have all that I need. I am worth it. Here's their tenets, by the way. Here's tenet 3 and tenet 5, that the Satanic Temple provides to aborting mothers when they walk into their center so that they can worship Beelzebub while affirming their identity and strength. Tenet 3 says, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. When the Bible says you are not your own, but you were bought with a price and your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. You notice this, by the way, like all Satan can do is just like say, it's actually the other way. Like that's liberalism, by the way. Like progressivism will hollow out your religion and wear it like a skin suit. Like that's all that the culture can do. That's all that Satan's ever been able to do. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's like something else is inside that body now, but that ain't the Frank I knew, but it has all the trappings and appearance of that thing that you used to know. Okay, so that's what liberalism does. That's what Satan does. Tenet 5, check this one out. Good Lord. This is Tenet 5 that they give to aborting mothers when they come to get their baby killing poisons from a Satanic Abortion Clinic in Maine. They say, beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. Me think the lady doth protest too much. That's literally what every pro-choicer does. They distort scientific facts to fit their own beliefs. But flip it upside down and point the finger back at pro-lifers. Okay. And here's the satanic personal affirmation that they give to women coming to slay their children. You ready for this? They have women look in the mirror. Remember, they say, get something that allows you to see your reflection. And look at yourself after you've murdered your kid and say, by my body, my blood, my will, it is done. I'm not joking. Like, this is such a gnarly episode. You think I'm embellishing this. I'm not. By my body, my blood, by my will, it is done. That's like, could you have parodied Jesus Christ in a more offensive manner? I don't think so. I don't even think Life of Brian, Monty Python, could have been that offensive. Let's take it line by line. By my body. This is what the mothers are supposed to read from the Satanic Temple ritual as they look themselves in the mirror. By my body. Wait, hold on. But Jesus said, this is my body. I break it for you. So there's the self-sacrifice. So then the Satanic Temple makes it about the baby sacrifice to the self. Oh. Couldn't have predicted that one. By my body. And then, of course, what's the chant for abortion? My body, my choice. And then it says, my blood, my blood. What, right? Christ says, like, take and eat and then drink. What? In remembrance of me. Right. Oh, the blood, right? The precious blood washes away our sin. Oh, no, it's by my blood that I'll shed blood. This is my blood, my body, my blood. Like, could you mock communion anymore? And then by my will. And Christ says, not my will, but yours be done. Humility and submission. And so leftism, abortion, Satanic Temple, what does it represent? I submit to no one but myself. I sit on the throne of my own life. Like, this should not be surprising to you, of course, but, and then by my body, my blood, by my will, it is done. Well, the last words of Jesus on the cross before the resurrection are, it is done, it is finished. Like, you could not have mocked the Savior in a more offensive manner. And of course, the whole phrase is to tell yourself, worship yourself, and celebrate yourself as you murder a baby whose only crime is being conceived, who's being killed and murdered because their mother thinks that they have the right to orgasms without responsibility. By the way, like, is that not liberalism in a nutshell? Orgasms without responsibility. That is such a perfect description of liberalism. Like, self-realization, self-fulfillment. Me do me without the consequences. And then when the consequences come, because they inevitably will, let me do whatever I can to, like, avoid those at all costs. I don't know What else to say about America when the Satanic Temple is quickly expanding their business and launching new abortion mills? Like the fact that that's even happening is such an indictment on this country. That we would even allow or tolerate people who worship the devil. Oh, don't worry, it's just ironically. Yeah, okay. And who are arguing for religious liberty rights to murder their children in rituals. Would we tolerate that if that was infants or toddlers? Of course not. The only reason that America's tolerating that for the slaughter of the unborn is because of an impotent, cowardly, silent church that's been asleep in the light, asleep at the driver's seat, observing all of this for decades and doing nothing about it. There's not too much further we can go off this cultural cliff without losing this country forever, actually. The Satanic Temple's website adds this. This ritual may be performed by our members as a way to fortify self-worth, instill confidence, and provide spiritual comfort. None of this is new, guys. There's this Greek author, Cleotarchos, a historian of Alexander the Great in the mid-4th century BC. He said, out of reverence for Kronos, that's the Greek equivalent of Baal, the Phoenicians, and especially the Carthaginians, whenever they seek to obtain some great favor, they vow one of their children, burning him as a sacrifice to the deity if they are especially eager to gain success or self-worth. Nothing new under the sun. Andrew White wrote this fascinating article at the Journal of Biblical Ethics and Medicine. It's called Abortion and the Ancient Practice of Child Sacrifice. He writes, fulfillment of a vow before or after obtaining a special favor from the gods, a favor that brings blessing or success to the dedicant, appears to be the most common reason for child sacrifice. Special favor or a blessing. Let me read that from the Satanic Temple again. This ritual is to fortify self-worth, instill confidence, and provide spiritual comfort. That's the same thing. There's an abortion mill in Portland, Oregon. You want to know the name of the abortion mill? It's called Lilith. It's called the Lilith Clinic. Have you ever heard of Lilith? There's like a Lilith festival too. Do you know who Lilith is? In Jewish mythology and folklore, Lilith is a raven-haired demon who preys on helpless newborn infants and seduces unsuspecting men, using their wasted seed to spawn hordes of demon babies. Yeah. Long before Judaism claimed her, Lilith-like demons were haunting the nightmares of ancient Sumerians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. Male and female demons called Liliu and Lilitu respectively appeared in the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, and the Mesopotamian goddess Lamashtu was a winged demon that tormented women during childbirth. What these various L-named spirits had in common was a sinister desire to strike at humans when they were the most vulnerable, particularly pregnant women and newborns. Basically, Lilith is a demon in Jewish folklore who steals babies and causes miscarriages. Do you think the leaders of the abortion mill in Portland, Oregon did not know that? Of course they knew that. They're just like, that's what we're about. That's who we are. We're demons who cause babies to die and prey on pregnant women. We're the abortion industry. We're Planned Parenthood. We're just Lilith. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. By the way, you want to know what that abortion mill used to be called before it was called the Lilith Clinic? It was called the Lovejoy Clinic. Lovejoy. Lovejoy. Whether it's satanic abortion doulas, which is a rising career now, or actual abortion activists and clinics, it's all the same thing. They're telling you that the baby is a baby, but it must be sacrificed to demons in order to keep the gift of life pure. And this is why. This is why Peter Kraft, the Catholic philosopher, spoke some of the most prophetic words on any ethical, metaphysical issue, certainly on the abortion issue, when he said abortion is the demonic parody of the Eucharist. And that's why it uses the same holy words. This is my body. But with the opposite blasphemous meaning. There's a reason that they quote the words of Jesus in their defense of abortion. My body, this is my body. This is my body, I break it for you. No, this is my body. I break you, baby, for me. By my blood. Here's the cup of my blood of the new covenant, shed for the forgiveness of sins. By my will. Not my will, but yours be done, Lord. It is finished. It is finished. I sacrificed myself. Oh, no. I've just murdered my baby. Like, all of that is by design. It's very intentional. There's not accidental word choices there. Satan can do nothing but mock God, copycat him, and deceive those that he's created. If you can't recognize that, especially as a Christian leader or pastor, and address that publicly and preach against that, then you're not refusing to get political. You're not refusing to preach into politics. You're refusing to preach against false religion. You're bought and sold. You're a hireling. And what we know about hirelings, they don't really care for the sheep. And when the wolves come, they don't actually protect them. There you go. Our left-wing friends at Right Wing Watch should like this one. Until next week, I'm Seth Gruber, and this is The Seth Gruber Show.